to the Marketing Nomad Show, the fun pit stop for all things Instagram, where I also share my entrepreneurial journey, some of my lessons, wins, and challenges along the way, so it can inspire you to get started and grow on Instagram as well. Welcome to the Marketing Show, Joy. How are we doing today?
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Prit. I am doing amazing. And yeah, happy holidays. I hope that you had a great holiday season.
Happy holidays to you too. Oh God, how has your holidays been?
It's been such an amazing rest day, like an amazing rest season, and at the same time, like I think this kind of like holidays is quite different because we get to really cherish our times with our family so much more, especially that we just finished the pandemic and things like that. So not really finished, it's not even finished yet, but then just really going through the pandemic has given us a lot of more reverence for life.
That's true. That's absolutely true. So happy to have you on the Marketing Show, Joy. All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so hi everyone who are tuning in. I am Joy. I am currently based in the Philippines and I am an NLP practitioner, also a brand manager and a life strategist. So basically, what does NLP mean? It's just basically um, allowing your conscious and subconscious mind to communicate with each other so that you're able to progress with your goals so much faster, because not until the subconscious is on board, then your conscious mind can only do 5% of the progress, right? And I can dive deeper into that later, for those of you who are not really knowledgeable yet about it. And then I am currently also a full-time brand manager in the food and beverage industry. So it's in for those of you who are familiar in a fast moving consumer goods industry, that's where I'm at. I have a full time corporate job. And yeah, I'm also a life strategist. I basically coach on transformation, specifically on gaining greater clarity, confidence, and high performance. That's what I've been doing a lot.
So amazing. Yes, obviously we're gonna dive deeper into NLP as this episode goes. But Joy, tell us a little bit about how you are currently balancing a full-time job and your side hustle as well. That must be crazy.
A lot of people actually also ask me that, and when I actually look back at it, I'm like, yeah, it's actually crazy that I'm able to do it, and I'm just really so grateful that I get to do it, and energetically and vibrantly. And what I would really say is that clarity is the biggest mover for me. Like being very clear with what I want, with what I'm building in life, gives me that sense of wholeness, even if I'm doing a lot of things, because I am so rooted and I am so clear with the kind of life that I want and I'm building. So it's like I see this corporate job plays this role, this business plays this role, and then my personal life plays this role, and then my different relationships with my family and specific set of friends that I choose to maintain and build also plays this role. So it's like it's really being very clear what I'm building, that I see all the different facets of my life as like different departments working together to really bring what I want into life. And that's how I stay sane.
Absolutely. Wow, that's such a brilliant thought. Like thinking of each aspect of your life as a department and each of these departments working together. That's such a brilliant way of thinking, because I feel like as women solopreneurs, I feel like this is very, very key to women. We think that either we have to choose business or we have to choose one aspect of our lives. And I think that thinking of all of this as a holistic business together and each segment working together, I feel like that's such a nice way to be hopeful that we can definitely balance it all. So yes, Joy, absolutely, so happy with that thought. On that note, let's talk a little bit more about NLP. Can you explain to our listeners and also me also? Tell me a little bit about what does NLP actually mean and how do we program that 95% of our subconscious to make a better life for all of us?
Okay, so first, maybe I wanna. NLP is basically neuro linguistic programming, right? Neuro is like for the brain, for the mind. Neuro linguistic, it's like for the language. Because the mind processes data points in our environment, right? It basically generalizes, distorts a lot of data points, and then make interpretations about a reality. And then we go to the language patterns because the mind tries to like, so we try to express our own interpretations of the world, right, through language. And then programming is basically all about patterns because this loop of, constantly deleting, distorting, and generalizing a lot of data points and transforming it into like language, this loop happens in microseconds, and that's why I'm able to like speak words super simultaneously, and my mind is like continuously processing things. So that's basically like what NLP means. But another thing that I would really want to contrast, to give a better to give our listeners and also you a better understanding of what NLP is, that NLP is different from positive psychology in such a way that positive psychology normally deals with people with anxiety, with depression, right, with medical conditions. So NLP doesn't necessarily deal with that. NLP is really more interested in top performers. Like, what are the patterns? What are the patterns that top performers do that enable them to achieve their goals so much faster and in a much better quality above the standard norm? So NLP is interested in top performers, like top athletes and things like that. What are the patterns? What are the common patterns and what are the common habits? And basically dive deeper into that, right? And positive psychology is more interested in, yeah, anxiety, depression, and things like that. So there's like a spectrum in that. I just really want to be clear on that because NLP does not heal anxiety or depression. It's really more on peak performance. Basically, that's the interest in that. So yeah.
That's so interesting, Joy. So when you talk about peak performance, you're saying that if we, kind of transform that 95% of our subconscious, we are able to achieve peak performance, and it doesn't really depend on our individual capabilities. Are you saying that each and every person has the potential to reach their peak performance to be the best that they can be?
Definitely, definitely. And the thing that I want to also highlight there is that, a lot of us, I think the society kind of like programmed us to depend so much on our conscious minds, right? Like we analyze, so the conscious mind analyzes things. Um, so it's like, okay, what do I need to do? Why did I do this? It's the thinking mind, and versus the subconscious, which basically houses our emotions. It houses our emotions, it houses our deep-seated memories, it houses our dreams. Our subconscious minds are super active, much more active while we are sleeping. But the thing is, for example, you don't even think about how you breathe. You don't even think about how you walk. Like a lot of our behaviors are subconscious. And this also includes our beliefs, our identities, our values, our capabilities. Like a lot of those are subconscious. Like, um, I just want to also like give a quick peek of like what there are four levels of learning, right? Like first is like subconscious incompetence, unconscious incompetence. It's like basically you don't know that you don't know. Like how dumb can you be? Right? Like that is the very baseline. Second level is like conscious incompetence. So now you know that you're not good at something, right? The third level would be the third higher level would be conscious competence, because now you don't know something and then you do something to get better at it. So you're now conscious that you're good at something. But the highest level of really the performance and competence is when you're already unconscious competence, meaning like you just automatically do it. It's like athletes, like they just freaking do it with much less effort. And that's why tapping into the subconscious and getting them on board with what you really want to do in life is so important and so powerful, because motivation wanes. And it's not until when you onboard your subconscious, then that's where the effort becomes minimal. The effort and the motivation, the need for motivation to actually do something becomes so much easier.
Joy, if I'm hearing this correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong as well, you're saying that to achieve peak performance, there is a process to kind of incorporate healthy habits, habits that become subconscious, habits that, just repeat by itself and helps us achieve our peak performance. Because once it becomes unconscious competence, as what you said, it becomes a habit. It becomes something that we just do without thinking. And that's how we achieve our peak performance. Did I hear that correctly? Did I understand it?
Yes, that's the best way to achieve peak performance. So it's like, when you see athletes, like how do they do that, right? Like it seems so easy for them, or like top dance performers, right? Or like super successful people. It's just like it appears so natural to them because it's already unconscious. Like they don't even need to think about it because they've done it so many times, that and their subconscious is like super on board, that it just flows. And this is also like another term in other books, if some of you actually read it, like like when you are in flow, that's what you call, like you are in flow, like you just time disappears, you're just really dancing and just really in that moment where you're just doing it but with minimal effort. That's what you call the flow. Yeah.
That's amazing. Honestly, yeah, the habit thing definitely makes so much sense. I feel like when it becomes a habit, we don't think too much about it and it just becomes second nature to us. And now that I'm looking at, top athletes and top dancers, top business people in the industry as well, it's so, key to notice that they have such beautiful habits, such healthy habits incorporated. And you're right. It's probably, months and years of just being that way that has just made them do that without any conscious effort. So wonderful insight over there. A little bit about, healthy habits and NLP in particular. What are some of the mistakes that you see people making with respect to NLP and with respect to healthy habits that you think is hindering their ability to reach peak performance?
Okay, so that's a really good question, because I, like going to this state where I am now, I had to like make a lot of mistakes. And so maybe I can just like give top three mistakes, common mistakes that I did, and also like a lot of my clients did, and also from my research, because I also do a lot of research around this. So the very first thing that I see a lot of people are making a mistake is that they think that they are clear, but they're not really clear with what they want. And I think this is the thing that really differentiates top performers versus mediocre performers, is really having that crystal clear picture of what really and it's not just about think at the level of thinking, you know but really feeling it deep down, like you're just really clear with what you really want. Because in high performance habits, clarity is this is the most needle moving habit that can really propel someone forward from being mediocre to like a top performer. And I think a lot of starting entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs think that, okay, I already know what I want, I just gotta like do, but then without necessarily putting in the time and effort and resources to really get clearer with what they're trying to do. Like having an idea of what you want going to is not going to help you propel yourself into making things happen, because there's just a lot of challenges that happens in an entrepreneurial journey, you know. And just having an idea of what you want is not gonna make it. So that's the first one. The second thing that I really observe with myself and my clients and all of my respondents is really also not addressing their fears, their doubts, and limiting beliefs. And this is primarily because these fears, these doubts, and limiting beliefs that we have, limiting stories, happen so automatic. Like we run on autopilot, right? So, for example, do it during my previous version of myself, the younger version of myself would be like automatically go into that negative loop whenever I get rejected. When I get rejected, I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I knew it. I didn't do something. I'm not enough, and maybe I'm not cut out for this, right? And the next thing you know is that you're already feeling so different because of that negative loop, you know. And this is just like one example of one. That's why, you know, when you basically interpret that as, okay, I'm not enough, I did something wrong, I'm not cut out for this, and then it affects your confidence, it affects your identity, and it affects your energy in terms of how you show up for your business, and how you show up for your other clients and other things that you do, right? So that's the thing. Like the key here is to actually be aware of these things. Like how are these negative thought patterns that are rooted from fear, from doubts, and from limiting stories affecting you, right? And that's the second mistake that I find a lot of people actually committing, like not taking the time to be aware and to actually do something about this, like change the neural pathways that are so ingrained in our brains for years. And the third one that I would really say is also goes back to the habits, like not being very intentional of the types of habits that you build, because everything is a habit, you know. um, if you are not, for example, one thing that a lot of people actually ask me is how I stay so consistent with my workout. Like I've been working out at least 4 times a week for 54 weeks now, and that's like that, like, I'm not saying that to brag, but that's, I'm saying that to actually inspire people that it cannot, you can choose to build a high performance habit easily. Like it does not necessarily need to be a struggle, but the intention has to be there, right? And not planning, not being aware, and not being conscious of the habits that you build around yourself is a huge mistake that I see a lot of entrepreneurs go to. Like, okay, we know something and then we don't really do it. That's like a huge pitfall, right? How many of you can really relate to, like, okay, I'm really gonna work out this week now, and then the next week you realize that you didn't do it.
That
So, yeah.
That's really, really interesting. Love those 3 points. I definitely have a lot of questions about that. But just one thought about, building healthy habits. I feel like when you said setting an intention really makes a difference. I can't even tell you how important that is, because there have been so many times that I have said, okay, you know what? I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. I'm going to start, doing work. I'm going to meditate and all of that. And it was not until, and I've been saying this for years, I'm not even kidding, okay? But the minute I had an intention, the minute I had my reason, like, why am I actually going to do it? That was so powerful, and it completely transformed my willpower to wake up at 5 a.m. And I'm officially part of the 5 a.m. club. So it definitely, really resonated with me when you said keeping an intention, understanding the why behind what you're doing really makes a lot of difference, because otherwise you're just going to be running on the mill and you're not going to have the motivation, and there are going to be a number of reasons that prevent you from doing what you want to do. So, congratulations on the 54 weeks. That is intense and amazing. That is amazing. Congratulations. And I know you, and I know that you're going to keep going and keep being awesome. So, Joy, a little bit of a tiny question based on the first point that you said, and that is having a clear understanding of what your goals are. So, can you give us a few ways, maybe one or two ways that you have implemented for yourself that has helped you gain clarity? Because I know that that is one of your pillars of your coaching. How do we gain clarity, about setting goals or setting intentions? How is it?
Okay, so oh my god, I love this clarity thing. But basically, I'm gonna give four important points that I think every aspiring entrepreneur or starting entrepreneur should get really clear before they roll the ball out, because it's gonna be snowball, right? So if you're not clear, then your efforts are also going to snowball to the wrong direction. But if you actually spend the time and effort to really get super clear with these four things, then the right direction is also going to snowball. um, so this what are these four things? First is your vision. Like, I'm talking about, what is it really, ask yourself, what is it really that you want, and not necessarily something that other people expect of you, but what is it really that you want outside what the society taught you to want? And this would really entail questioning your beliefs, questioning what you wanted for so long, and just really asking yourself, like, do I want this because I really want this, or do I just want this because I've been programmed to do so? Right? And that's the first thing. Second is to get clear with your purpose. Because if you're not clear with your purpose, your vision is not going to have enough roots, deep enough roots that can withstand all the challenges that you're going to face in this entrepreneurial journey. And so, getting really clear with your purpose, getting really deep with your why is a very powerful thing. Like, ask yourself, a lot of, I hear a lot of entrepreneurs and starting entrepreneurs, and even corporate people that I coach, say that my why for doing this is because I want time and financial freedom. Well, if you want time and financial freedom, that's great. I also want that, but I'm sorry to break it to you that that is not deep enough. It may feel personal, but everyone wants time and financial freedom. And that's why a lot of entrepreneurs also, like, they build something and then it feels like their niche is not unique enough, because not until you really get clear with why you're really doing things outside time and financial freedom, then it's not going to be deep enough. So the why, so the vision and the why. And the third one is actually getting clear of your values. Like, what do you really believe in and stand for? Because all of us have a different, unique set of values. Like, our values are formed when we were 0 to 7 years old, when we were basically walking subconscious. And a lot of people skip this because, like, we depend on our conscious values, what we think we value. But it's so important that you actually take the time to learn to know what your subconscious values are, so that when you decide on things, which is like the number one thing that an entrepreneur does, right? To decide on things. And your values are going to be your compass. Once you know your subconscious values, it's going to be so easy to say no to a lot of things, and it's going to be so easy to prioritize things. So that's the third one. And finally, the fourth one is to really get clear with your habits, right? Like, what are the habits that are going to enable me to, like, be sustainably sustain this? Because getting clear with your vision, your why, and your values, it's like all the super important foundational stuff, but without really getting clear in terms of the habits that are going to really support you sustain these things, it's not going to work. So those are the four things.
That's amazing, Joy. I hope you guys are taking notes because this is a gold mine, guys. So when we're talking about healthy habits, Joy, can you tell us some of, the healthy habits that you have incorporated? What were your struggles when you started off with them, and where you are now when it comes to these healthy habits?
Okay, so the first one is actually just what I talked about, clarity. A lot of people actually think that it's a one-off thing. That like I just need to like get clear with this thing, and then blah 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 blah. I can already like go and execute, do. It's not. Clarity is a habit. Like like really getting clear. It's something that you would want to do from time to time in your business. Um, it's a huge game changer for me once I literally created that habit. Um, and it just really allowed me to make things so much easier. Like, not at first, especially for those of you who are not even clear of what you really want to do, it's gonna be a bit challenging because you're not yet used to it. You're just in the level of conscious incompetence. Now you know that you're not good at something. But that's great because now you are conscious about it, and then now you can change something about it, right? So that's the first thing, first habit. Second is energy. Habits around energy, and basically that's around health and vibrancy. I'm not a health coach, but I also coach my clients around that, as part of my coaching. But basically, energy, if you don't have enough energy to really go through your day, then what makes you think that you're even going to be able to manage your time well? I want to break that mindset of, okay, I just need to like manage my time better. No, you need to manage your energy better. Like, you gotta be responsible of the type of energy that you put out in everything that you do. And how I do that is through, first is like exercise. So top performers in their industries actually exercise an average of at least 5 times a week. That may appear a lot, but then it's so much, I know it's so much easier said than done. But if you find overwhelmed with this, then why don't you start with baby steps? Why don't you start with twice a week if you're like a couch potato right now? And then just slowly build it up, because once you're already in the momentum, then it's not going to be so hard to increase it until 5 times, like at least 30 minutes per session. Another thing that I would really recommend on that energy habits would be on prioritizing your sleep. Like, a lot of starting entrepreneurs, like corporate people, and a lot of ambitious professionals that I coach, fall into that trap of, if I do more, I'm going to be more successful. And I think that's also because of the way that the society brought us up, that you gotta reach something at a certain age or at a certain level. You gotta be this. But that's really not a sustainable strategy. Like, if you just burn yourself out and not prioritize your sleep, then eventually your body is gonna request, your body is gonna demand for time and attention. Sorry about that. Yeah, for time and attention. Like, how many of you can relate that a lot of people grind, and then when they get older, they basically just pay for their health? And you wouldn't want that. I'm sure a lot of you would want to have vibrant lives with your loved ones. And so that starts prioritizing your freaking sleep and your freaking exercise. So yeah.
Amazing insights, Joy. Absolutely. Honestly, that's one of the questions that, got me started waking up at 5 a.m. is that if I don't have the energy to, run my business, then what am I doing? And that itself is such a huge question, because I definitely found my energy draining. I was not able to sustain, and I was in the mindset. This is all things that I personally saw myself doing wrong. So it absolutely resonated with me. But with respect to prioritizing my sleep, I would be sleeping at 3 a.m. and then waking up at 7 a.m. And then I would think that, okay, you know what, I have to hustle, because I, want that success. And what I was doing in that process is I was not taking care of my health. And Suddenly, one day my body decides, no, Prit, that's enough. Okay. And then I fell sick. And that happens. And that's when I was like, oh crap, okay, I got to take a step back. I got to understand that, prioritizing my sleep is important. Keeping healthy habits is important. Having the energy, like physical exercise, moving around, doing yoga, getting that meditation time slot in for me to connect with myself. And all of that is so, so important. So it absolutely resonated with me. And I started living intentionally, as you said, just about 2 months ago. It's very new for me too. So it's really, interesting and so inspiring to hear your journey through it. And like I said, I know that you've been doing this a long time, and I've, even off a record and off the Zoom call, I absolutely look up to Joy with respect to, her healthy habits and how she carries herself, how she manages both her 9 to 5 and a side hustle. So it absolutely means like a ton to me that she's on, the Marketing Nomad show and talking to you guys about what I admire about her as well. So Joy, well, that's basically, a ton of things that you spoke about in this episode. But if you were to wrap up this entire episode with 3 actionable steps for our audience, what would it be?
Okay, so first of all, I really admire you for being really vulnerable in sharing your story as well, because I know that this things can sound so glamorous, like, oh yeah, like I know I need to do that and things like that, but it's so different when you're already really implementing your learnings. And that's where transformation happens, when you actually already doing it, when you're finally like doing what you think you need to do, right? Like finally bridging that knowing doing gap. um, so anyway, for those of you who are still listening up until this point, I just want to say kudos to you. Like that says a lot about you, that you're really invested in your personal growth, and that is going to basically manifest in your business and in your life as well. And so I just really want to say that before I go to the final 3 points. Final 3 points. Basically, first, guys, I cannot stress this enough, and my clients can also like not stress this enough when once they go through the journey, is that you really need to invest time, effort, and resources in getting clear with what you want, why you want it, what you believe in, and what you really stand for. Because being very clear in these things, this will not only give you that confidence to really do the thing that you want, but it will also naturally make you unique and stand out from the crowd. Like we are in data and information era. All of us are like talking about, okay, I need to be unique, I need to be different. But that is how you become different. Being very clear with yourself first, right? If you're not clear with yourself and your business first, then how do you expect other people to be clear and to stand out from the crowd, right? So that's the first thing. Be Take that seriously, because I cannot stress it enough. Second is to actually become serious as well in being aware of your blocks, because not until when you're still in that unconscious incompetence, these things are going to block you and you don't even know it, right? That's why a lot of people work, do, and then they wonder why they're not seeing the results that they are looking for. It's because they have a lot of limiting fears, limiting doubts, limiting beliefs that are stopping them, and they're not even aware of it. So start being aware. Okay, like pay attention to your thought patterns. And then third would really be to create a system. Okay, sorry about. Okay, so just really build a system that would allow you to be a high performer and sustainably do these things. Because okay, getting clear about who you are and then being confident by unblocking yourself from your fears, doubts, and limiting beliefs, those are great, amazing, deep stuff that you can do for yourself. But without the sustainable system that would allow you to sustain everything, it's not going to be possible, because for all of us, our motivation will wane, right? Our willpower is only limited during the day. So really carving that out, like designing your days, designing your weeks in a way that will enable you to really perform high. And this also entails really identifying like what habits do I need to put in place every day so that I am able to show up 100% in everything that I do, whether that's work, whether that's in my relationship, whether that's in my business, whether that's in whatever that I do. You know, like even with my self care, right? Like you want to be 100% there. So, what are the habits that are important for that? So, those are the three things, like all about getting clear with yourself, unblocking yourself from your fears and limiting beliefs, and then finally, build a sustainable high performance system.
Wonderful, Joy. As you know and can see from this episode, Joy is definitely the expert when it comes to NLP. Now, Joy, if people want to look for you outside of this episode, where can they find you?
Okay, so I, I am a very super open person. So you can just like really email me at joyriverainternational@gmail.com. So I definitely reply within 24 to 48 hours. So that's Joy Rivera International at gmail.com. And then you can also just also connect with me in Instagram. That's at Unleash the Magic Now. So again, that's at Unleash the Magic Now, and you can just like really DM me. I'm not really a huge fan of a lot of complicated workflows, so that's how you can just like reach out to me, and then like we won't even if you just have you want to talk things out, you have more in-depth questions about what we spoke about. I'll be happy to like do a chat and then see how we can take things from there.
Yes, absolutely. Feel free to reach out to Joy. I'm going to put the links in the description box below. So feel free to, take a look, reach out to Joy, follow her on Instagram. She gives amazing tips on, creating healthy habits, how to align your life, how to gain clarity, confidence, and high performance. Right, Joy? All right, Joy, before we wrap this episode up, if you can give a few book recommendations to our audience as well. I know we talked about this before we hopped on the Zoom call. Feel free to, jump in and give us a few tips and, books that we can read.
Okay, so for book recommendations, I would really suggest, first of all, is Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends on It. It's such a short book. Come on, guys. Like, you can read that in a day. But it's so foundational because not unless you're able to really love yourself and put that as your priority, everything is going to be fucked. So that's the first thing. Second is Great by Choice by Jim Collins. I would really recommend this book, especially for those of you who are starting out, because it basically talks about what is the difference between the companies that actually perform above standard norm, companies whose growth is just way above the standard norm, like the stock market and things like that. Like when the stock markets are crashing, what are the businesses who are growing double digit, triple digits doing, right? And then finally, I would also really recommend Stories That Stick by Kendra Hall, yeah. And that's basically um, all about storytelling. This is also something that I work with my clients, but basically it's about how do you crack a story around yourself and around your business, and that storytelling is 22 times so much more effective than just dumping information, and learning the skill of storytelling can really be powerful, um, especially when you're trying to voice your story out there, for not just for yourself but also for your business.
Perfect. That is amazing, Joy. I've definitely taken notes. Guys, if you are interested, feel free to hop on and, grab these books, talk to Joy more about, what you're struggling with. I am absolutely sure that she will help you out. She's super, super friendly and approachable, so don't worry about it. I'm going to put the links in the description box again. You can definitely catch this episode on both YouTube and on Apple Podcasts as well. All right, guys. Thank you so much, Joy, for joining us. We have learned a ton from this episode, and I can't wait to, actually implement everything that we have talked about. So thank you, Joy.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so much fun.
It is. It is. I am absolutely so happy. I know that our listeners had a ton of things to do. So, well, happy holidays, guys. I will catch you again with my next episode. Talk soon.
Bye.